Hey, what's up, everybody? Jonathan Mallard here, and I'm really excited to show you this week's example of how to use different parts of Benzinga Pro. It's just the start of intraday trading was about 20 minutes ago, so it's 9:50 right now, and I'm going to go ahead and open up Benzinga Pro and see what's in there. I'm just sharing my screen here. Okay, so right here is our beginning screen for Benzinga Pro. And you'll see you have all of the tools here on the left-hand side toolbar, as well as the top of the screen when you first open up the platform. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up the news feed. Now, the news feed is the heart and soul of Benzinga Pro. I mean, it's how we got started as a company. So if you're looking for fast, filterable, actionable news, this is pretty much the best you can get. And as you can see, there's a pretty high volume of news items here. And there are a variety of ways that you can filter the news to make it more applicable for your trading style. So a few of my favorite ways to filter down the news are the categories, sectors, and watch list tabs. You'll see they're right underneath the search bar here. And so I'm just going to go to categories, and you'll see all of these are different tags associated with certain types of headlines. So it's really easy to find those certain catalysts, whether that's an FDA announcement, merger and acquisition activity, IPOs and offerings, or more. You'll also want to notice that hot, those are probably the top 5 stories of the day. It's probably something that already affected the market, but it's still good to know. Whereas the market moving exclusives or exclusive content are exclusive to Benzinga. So you have access to that content before anyone else. Now, I'm going to go ahead and check a few of these boxes. And when I check those boxes, it's going to exclude all of the other content except for what's in those categories. So let's say I want like those FDA approvals. I click on FDA, and then I'm highlighting it in green. So it's going to pop out at me a little bit more on the news feed. We'll make IPOs and offerings yellow. Doesn't want to give me yellow. I guess it'll be this orangish color. And then M&A, I always make that purple. So I never even have to think about, what type of headline this is. If I do it the same all the time, then I know exactly where to look. Market updates, these are kind of like summary articles, which stocks passed their 52-week highs, or what's moving in the pre-market, or the mid-morning update. So you'll see those types of summary articles in market updates. All right, so I think this is enough right here just to see an example of how this works. I click done, and you'll automatically see here that number one, the volume is drastically reduced. So if you're like me and you can't read every single headline, this can be really helpful just to find certain catalysts that I could focus on a daily basis. Number two, notice how they are highlighted. So I've got the biotech FDA type stuff in green and the M&A stuff in purple. Let's zoom in here. What's going on here? At 6:05 a.m., Presidio Incorporated announces definitive agreement to be acquired by BC Partners for $16 per share in cash. So, and then you'll see this has a triple up sentiment indicator. That's a subjective sentiment indicator from our news desk. So they're basically telling you, hey, this will probably impact the price of this stock. They don't tell you how much, but just that they're fairly confident that that will impact the price of the stock. So let's say, and you'll see I just hover over the ticker here in the news feed, and it gives me this little pop-out box with the current price, and then the change since published. I love that feature because I can directly correlate that news catalyst with the change in the price. And so if I'm just going through here in the pre-market, you can see that there are a few, big headlines here. Akari Therapeutics receives FDA Fast Track designation, and I just hover over that, and that's up 48% today. So these are just a few examples of how you can use the Benzinga Pro newsfeed to take advantage of catalysts that you might not find out about until hours later if you didn't have Benzinga Pro. Now, there are a few other ways that you can filter the newsfeed. I'm going to go ahead and deselect these categories so you guys can see everything again. Although I'll leave those highlights on there. I click done, the bottom right corner. And so let's say I just wanted to focus on one sector or one industry even. Let's go back to that biotech sector. Or if I wanted to focus on industrials or energy, I could just click on sector. And then here we have the major sectors. So let's say energy, click into energy. But then there's lots of different parts of the oil industry, oil supply chain, and that you can select in these sub-industries. So I could just select energy, or I could select multiple sectors, so like healthcare, biotechnology, and then I click done. So if I'm only following biotech and energy, that's all I had to do, and you'll see that I'm getting a lot of signals here for these 52-week lows. So if you want, you can leave in all of those sources there. So we have Benzinga signals, which are automated unusual activity alerts, and Benzinga wire, which is our curated news feed. So our news team does all the work. They go through all the press releases, the SEC filings. They're looking at all the other media outlets, whether that's Reuters or Bloomberg or Wall Street Journal, so that as soon as they see something on one of those other sources, they type it right into our feed so that you don't miss a beat. And the way that you would change those sources is, again, right underneath the search bar here. You click on sources, and then you've got signals and wire. So let's say, I don't want to follow those signals. Maybe I'm following other technical indicators. I just deselect signals. I click done. And now I'm only getting those headlines on those two industries, or one industry and one sector. And you can see that this way, not everything in the biotech industry, it has to do with FDA approval. So this way you would broaden your range a little bit. You see we have the earnings announcements here and things like that. So that's another great way that you can narrow down the news feed to get what matters to you. And then I'm just deselecting those check boxes, and now it opens it up again to all of the other sectors. Now, before we move off of the news feed here, I have to show you a few keywords. So there's a great article on our help site. That's pro.benzinga.help, where you can find articles, videos, more videos like this, as well as more detailed videos on each of the tools. So one of those articles includes a whole bunch of keywords that you can use for different industries, catalysts, things like that. So I'm just showing you a few examples here. So, Trump's tweets have moved the market recently. So if I wanted to get an alert every time Trump said something or tweeted, I could just type in Trump. And there you'll see whenever he's, making statements on TV or tweeting, you'll get it right here. You could also put in, another news feed, and you could type in, say, Kudlow or Powell for Jerome Powell, things like that. Now let's try a more industry-specific keyword. I might go with primary endpoint. This is part of the research and development process for biotech stocks. And there you see this company met a primary endpoint. So this can be really good or really bad. Stocks can skyrocket or plummet based off of whether or not they successfully meet their objectives for these phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials and meet these primary endpoints. And so there's a whole bunch more that you can look up. Just go to pro.benzinga.help, and in the keyword search box, just type in keyword search, and it will give you a great article with a lot more suggestions. All right, so before we go on to the watch list filtering, I just want to show you really quick, back with these categories, if you want to set alerts for those categories, you can do that with this bell symbol in the upper right corner. So I'm clicking on the bell, and then you'll see all of those same categories are included here. So let's say if I wanted cannabis, if I'm really following the cannabis industry, I just select this sound alert so it would play through my computer speakers whenever a new headline comes out. I could say make that a droplet. Turn that back off for now. Or I could get real-time email alerts for every single headline in that category. So I just check that box and I'm good to go. Then I would just exit out of here and I would get those real-time email alerts. So that's one of 3 different types of alerts that you can set on Benzinga Pro. All right, so the next one here is watch list. So I talk with a lot of people who say, Jonathan, I only want like major market moving news. So I want to know what will move the S&P 500, the Qs. And so you can make a watch list for that. So what I'm going to do here is open up another workspace. You'll notice I did that by clicking on the plus button to the right of my workspace tab. And I'm opening up the watch list tool. So I have made quite a few watch lists, and one I just want to point out is indices and commodities here. So you'll see I've got the SPY, Dow Jones, the Qs, USO if I'm following oil. Let's say I want to add GLD if I want to follow the gold market. So then I just type in GLD, and I can either select it from this drop down or just press comma, and it recognizes it inside of our system as a security. Then I press enter or return a second time, and there you have it. It added it to my watch list. Now, what's so powerful about this is you can filter your news feed, you can filter your calendar tool, which we haven't really gotten into yet. You can even filter your signals tool by these different types of watch lists. So now this is my indices and commodities watch list. I'm clicking back to workspace 1, which by the way, I'm just going to go ahead and double click on this and rename that news feed. So now I can keep track of that. And then let's see, I'm going to go ahead and close my non-standard news feed. And underneath the search bar, once again, you have watch list. So I click on watch list, and then I click on indices and commodities. I click done, and now I'm only receiving news on those tickers that I selected. Now, some of these, you might notice where it's like here, FXI +1. I don't know if I put FXI in there, but that's the China index. But that +1 just means that more than one ticker is a part of that headline or that article. So if I hover over it, you'll see the SPY is included, which is definitely in my watch list. You could also do this for just movers during the day. So I'll just show you, like right now, if I went to our mover tool. Let's say I just want to see what's moving in the morning. I want to get on top of that momentum. Then this tool is really simple. It just shows you what's moving the most up or down on a given day. And it also has some volume stuff you can do with it. So I'm looking at gainers and losers. Right now it's the regular trading session. And then in the past 15 minutes, what's moved the most? Or I could switch it to the entire session here. So now I could limit it by sector or market cap or price per share if I want to. But then I'm also going to go down here and sort this by volume because I want to make sure that I have enough liquidity here. So I'm going to volume. I click it once, and then I click it twice to get the highest volume at the top. So you can see that in intraday trading, PSDO here, if I just click on that, that brings up that company in my details tool, so I have all the information in one spot. So then I've got the price chart here, as well as the news underneath it. You see we've got some serious block trades here, at the bid, below the bid. Interesting here. A lot of block trades here. And so if I wanted to, I could also click on the 5-day chart just to check out what's a full narrative going on here. And you can see there was that huge jump from the close yesterday, that huge gap up this morning. And if I just scroll down, I can see that it's that same headline from this morning at 6:05 when they entered into agreement to be acquired by VC Partners for $16 per share in cash. Now, if I want to follow this, I would just click on Add to Watch List. And here are all of my watch lists that are available. So let's say I want to put this in onboarding webinar. I just click on onboarding webinar. Now there's a check next to it. Then I go back to my watch list tool. I go to onboarding webinar, and there it is, PSDO. So I would be able to follow that throughout the day, filter my news feed by it, as well as other tools. And then lastly, for the watch list, you can set alerts. So I click on this bell symbol inside of the watch list, and then I can set sound alerts, just like the categories, or I can set these real-time email alerts by clicking on these toggle switches or an email summary at the beginning and ending of each trading day. So the watch list, it's a simple but powerful tool. Let me know if you have any more questions about that. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you guys are how to find the fastest earnings and analyst ratings announcements. I get those questions all the time. Jonathan, just show me the fastest possible announcements for earnings and ratings. So here are a couple combo pages here. I'm going to open up my calendar tool. So the calendar tool has 11 different calendars in it. And you'll see right here, it defaults to all of today's earnings announcements. And there's a lot of cool things you can do with this. But one of them is to filter all of this by, say, I could filter it by surprise percent, say when that real number comes out compared to the estimate. I could say I want a surprise greater than 20%. And there you have it. All these surprises greater than 20% come up. So if I wanted to, I could just focus on those and make potential plays off of those. You can also customize the columns that show up. So if I wanted to add the time announced, I could remove the date announced if I know it's all today. And then if I have the time, maybe I don't need the time frame after market or before market. I could remove the confirmed date. You see here, it just makes it a little bit easier for me to read. And you can sort by any of these columns. So here, I've got these real-time announcements. And then I'm going to open up my news feed and go right back to that categories tab. So I'm going to categories, and then I just select earnings and guidance for my category. I click done. And now I have all of the earnings announcements in one spot, along with my earnings calendar on the other side here. So this is a great way to make sure you never miss an earnings announcement. Now you can do the same thing for analyst ratings. So I'm just clicking on the drop down here inside of my calendar tool. I'm selecting analyst ratings. And then you can do really cool filters here. Let's say I only want those with a buy rating that raise the price target. So I'm going to go once again over to my filters, and I'm going to go to rating and deselect everything except for buy. And I'm going to go to action price target and deselect everything except for raises. And so, out of all of those analyst actions for today, you can see that I limited it to just 4 securities here. So this can be very actionable. Now I could just switch over the other side of my screen to analyst ratings, and instead of earnings and guidance, and there you have it, all of the analyst ratings announcements for today in one spot. All right, so moving right along here, the next thing I'll show you is our signals tool. So this came out in January. We're super excited about it because it's so powerful for giving you those real-time alerts on price spikes, block trades, unusual options activity, things like that. And you can see here it defaults to showing you price spikes. Now, some of you might be interested in opening gaps, so I'm going to select that just to show you, where the opening gaps are this morning. So there you have all the opening gaps, and then block trades, halts and resumes. You can select from a whole bunch of these. I usually just put on all of them. And then for highs, I might do 52-week highs so it doesn't overwhelm my feed. And then for lows, I'll do 52-week lows. Otherwise, you're going to get so many updates on those intraday highs. So now I've got this options activity. So you've got the call or put sweeps in there where it's a large enough order where there's not enough supply or demand on one side of the order to do it all through one exchange or one router. So that little parentheses there, put sweep parentheses 11, that means they had to use 11 different exchanges or routers to complete the order. So lots of times that can be indicative of a larger order. And just a little caveat here, if you're really into the options activity, all of this is in beta right now. So we're making it available to all of our trial users and most of it to all of our members. The options activity signals are currently an upsell product for like 15 bucks a month. So if you think that you might use that, which it is indispensable for a lot of our members, just let us know and we can really dive in deeper with you and make sure it would be worth the investment. Now, for the filters on the signals tool, I just click on filters, add a filter, and this is where all the action happens because it's a whole fire hose of activity and you get to filter it down. So let's say I only want signals on companies, say with a market cap of greater than 2 billion. I just click on market cap and then I click on here where it says 2 billion and I update it right there. So now I'm, limiting it to those larger cap stocks. And then I could add another filter if I want to. Let's say I want to make sure that the price, if I want it 100 bucks and up, then I could do it there. If you're really looking for those blue chip stocks, that might be one way to do it. Or you could do the exact opposite. I'll make it from 100M for million to 2 billion. And then I would go from $1 to $10 if those are more of the types of stocks that I'm interested in. And you'll see it just changes my output right there. Lastly, you've got the notifications. So you can get desktop notifications, a sound alert, or a synthesized voice, so it actually reads the signals to you. So that is pretty much our signals tool. Let us know if you have more questions about it. It's been very, very effective for a lot of our members. And while I said the synthesized voice, how cool would it be if you could get the most important headlines of the day to you without even having to look at another screen? So that's what our audio squawk does. Now, to access the audio squawk, you just hover over the icon here on the left-hand side, and then you click on this blue play button. Don't click on the icon itself because that'll open up an older flash-powered version. You want to click on this blue play button, and then the status will change to connected, waiting for audio. Then from about 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day, you'll get the most important headlines broadcast to you about every 5 to 20 minutes or so. So it's not a constant feed of audio throughout the day. So definitely test it out because a lot of professional traders use this tool specifically, and they think it's worth paying for the whole platform. All right, so I just have one more thing for you guys today, and that is the brand new Benzinga Pro screener. So I'm going to go ahead. See, I need to zoom out on this a little bit, I think. There we go. Open up a new workspace, and you'll find the screener near the bottom of your toolbar on the left-hand side. And so this is great because this is great whether you're a long-term investor, a day trader, a swing trader. You can find high-quality companies that meet your parameters, your specifications to meet your needs. So let's say I'm looking for a company with a dividend yield from 3 to 5% that has a PE ratio somewhere between 10 to 20. So I could go to fundamental variables, and then I would just find the dividend yield right here at the top. And you can either select from the drop down or you can type it in directly. So I will go from 3 to 5% here. And you'll see updates in real time here below. And then let's see, I was going to do the PE ratio. So I click on PE, and I'm going to go from 10 to 20. Alrighty. So now, out of the thousands and thousands of companies, I've narrowed all of those down to 290 results, and it's showing the first 100 right here. And by the way, you could download these as a CSV with this downward pointing arrow at the top here. Now let's reset the filters, and let's say I'm looking for more of a day trading play. So I want to find stocks that have a higher relative volume compared to their normal trading volume, right? So let's try, let's go to technical indicators, and you'll see volume relative is right here. So I can click on that, and let's say I want at least 50% higher volume. So I click on 1.5, and I'll just leave the other one blank because I don't care how high it goes. I just want to see the higher relative volume companies. And then really quick, I'll go back to basic filters. And for exchanges, I might just select NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange. So I get rid of some of the more unusual OTC stocks. And so before that, there was 922, and now there's only 92 results. So here I've got some great opportunities where I can just sort through this list, see why are they trading at a higher than usual volume. And I could also sort this by, say, either the volume itself or the percent change. I would just click on those column headers and really quickly see what's what's trading with the highest volume or the highest percent change. So as you can see, Macy's, Akari Therapeutics, there it is again, Presidio. We've got some big movers here. So these are some great opportunities to take a closer look for potential plays. Now, one more thing, I know that charting is pretty important to some of you guys. So I didn't want you to miss out on where to find that charting. So I'm clicking on, say here, for PSDO, and it opens up my details tool. And so you've got your overview chart here on just the overview page, along with all the other basic information. So that's helpful just for a quick look. But if you want to dive deeper, you click on this chart tab underneath where the price quote is, and you have a more detailed chart from TradingView. And these are delayed for right now, but within the next month, we're getting even more advanced real-time charts from TradingView. So that's going to be awesome. And you can compare multiple tickers on here. You can add indicators, say like the relative strength index. I'm just adding the RSI here, the MACD, Bollinger Bands. You can add all those. And so there's a lot more you can do with the chart in the details tool. Lastly, know that the real difference with Benzinga is that you always have us fighting for you. So whether that's our news desk, you can access our news desk through this chat here in the bottom right corner, and just type in news desk if you're like, hey, why is this moving? And you can ask us directly, and who knows, you might even lead us to break a piece of news that we wouldn't have otherwise published. Also, you can always reach me at onboarding@benzinga.com, and we would just love to chat with you, and we're all ears as far as how to continue improving the platform and add more value for you as traders. So with that, I think we'll wrap it up for today, but have a great day and happy trading.